Stop trying so hard. That's right. The more you chase what you want, the further it runs from you. And there's one invisible force doing this to you right now, blocking everything you're trying to create in your life. Stay with me because what I'm about to show you will change everything. You've probably noticed something strange. You set goals, you visualize, you work hard, maybe you even pray or meditate, but somehow the things you want most just don't come. It's like there's a wall between you and your dreams. And here's what nobody tells you about manifestation. It's not about doing more. It's about removing the one thing that's been in your way this entire time. Today, we're going to uncover exactly what that is, why it happens, and how you can finally break free from it. Let me ask you something. How many times have you wanted something so badly that it consumed your thoughts? Maybe it was a relationship, money, success, or just peace of mind. You thought about it constantly. You planned for it, you stressed over it. And then what happened? Either it didn't come at all, or when it did, it wasn't what you expected. Here's the truth that most people miss. The thing blocking your manifestations isn't outside of you. It's not bad luck. It's not the universe being cruel. It's not even about whether you deserve it or not. The block is something you're doing right now, in this very moment, without even realizing it. Think about water for a second. When you hold water loosely in your hands, it stays. But the moment you grip it tight, trying to keep it from escaping, it slips through your fingers. This is exactly what happens with everything you want in life. The tighter you hold on, the faster it disappears. Most people spend their entire lives in a state of wanting. They wake up wanting. They go to sleep wanting. Every action is driven by this sense of lack, this feeling that something is missing. And this wanting, this desperate grasping, creates a frequency that actually pushes away the very things they're trying to attract. But why does this happen? It's because wanting comes from a place of believing you don't have. When you want something desperately, you're sending a signal to yourself and to the world that says, I lack this thing. And when you operate from lack, you create more lack. It's a loop that feeds itself, growing stronger every day. Understanding the nature of attachment. Let's dig deeper into this. There's a difference between desire and attachment. Desire is natural. It's the spark that moves you forward. It says, I would enjoy having this in my life. Attachment is different. Attachment says, I need this to be happy. Without it, I am incomplete. When you're attached to an outcome, you're no longer free. Your peace depends on getting that thing. Your happiness is held hostage by circumstances outside your control. And here's what happens in that state. You become tight. Your energy becomes constricted. You're no longer flowing with life. You're fighting against it. Imagine a farmer who plants seeds. He waters them, makes sure they get sunlight. Then he waits. He doesn't dig up the soil every day to check if they're growing. He doesn't stress and worry and lose sleep over whether the seeds will sprout. He trusts the process. He does his part and then he lets go. But most people are not like this farmer. They plant the seed and then they dig it up every single day. They worry, they doubt, they check constantly to see if anything is happening, and in doing so, they destroy the very thing they're trying to create. This constant checking, this obsessive focus on the outcome, is attachment, and attachment creates tension. It creates resistance. And where there's resistance, there's no flow. Without flow, nothing can come to you naturally. Think about the times in your life when things worked out perfectly. Chances are, these were moments when you weren't trying so hard. Maybe you met someone special when you weren't looking for a relationship. Maybe you got a job opportunity when you had stopped stressing about your career. Maybe money came in when you had finally made peace with your situation. This isn't coincidence. This is the law of how energy works. When you release attachment, when you stop gripping so tight, you open up space for things to come to you. You stop blocking the natural flow of life, the mind's trap of future and past. Here's another layer to this. Attachment lives in time. It lives in the future and the past. When you're attached to an outcome, your mind is constantly jumping ahead, imagining scenarios, planning, hoping, fearing. You're not here, you're somewhere else, in a future that doesn't exist yet. Or maybe you're stuck in the past, comparing your current situation to what was, holding on to old wounds, old stories, old identities. Either way, you're not present. And manifestation, true creation, can only happen in the present moment. The present moment is where your power lives. It's the only place where you can actually take action. It's the only place where you can feel genuine peace. But when your mind is scattered across time, worrying about tomorrow or regretting yesterday, you're powerless. You're disconnected from the source of all creation. Your energy gets diluted, spread thin across timelines that don't actually exist. The past is gone. It's a memory, a story you tell yourself. The future hasn't arrived. It's a projection, a fantasy, a hope or a fear. But neither of these are real in the way that this moment is real. Let me give you an example. Say you want to manifest a better relationship. If you're constantly thinking, when will I find the right person? Why hasn't it happened yet? What if I'm alone forever? You're living in future anxiety. Your energy is not in the now, it's in some imagined future where you're either happy or miserable based on whether this thing happens or not. Every day you wake up and your first thoughts are about this person who doesn't exist yet. You create scenarios in your mind. You imagine conversations, dates, moments of connection, and while you're doing this, you're missing the actual life happening around you. But what if instead you brought all your awareness to this moment? What if you asked, how can I be more loving right now? How can I be more open right now? How can I appreciate what I have right now? Suddenly, your energy shifts. You're no longer in lack. You're in fullness. And from that place of fullness, you naturally attract what matches that frequency. Because when you're genuinely present, genuinely open, genuinely loving in this moment, you become the kind of person who naturally attracts meaningful relationships. You're not trying to fill a hole. You're expressing what's already there. The same applies to money, success, health, anything. When you're constantly chasing the future version of these things, you're missing the opportunity to embody them now. And you can only attract what you already are, not what you hope to become. If you're always thinking, I'll be successful when I get that promotion, or I'll be wealthy when I make my first million, or I'll be healthy when I lose this weight, you're putting your power somewhere else. You're saying that you're not those things now, and as long as you believe that, you won't be. But here's what most people don't understand about time and the mind. Your mind is designed to simulate. It's designed to plan, to predict, to prepare. This is useful for survival. If you're a hunter, You need to anticipate where the animal will go. If you're building shelter, you need to imagine what it will look like when it's done. But somewhere along the way, this useful tool became a prison. We stopped using our imagination to serve the present and started using it to escape the present. We use the future as a place to hide from now. We tell ourselves things will be better when. And then we list all the conditions that need to be met. When I have more money, when I find the right partner, when I get that job, when my kids are grown, when I retire, always when, never now. This creates a pattern where you're never actually living. You're always preparing to live. You're always waiting for life to start. The past works the same way. You use it as a reference point, but then it becomes a cage. You say, I'm like this because of what happened to me back then. You identify with old pain, old failures, old versions of yourself that don't exist anymore. And every time you do this, you're bringing dead energy into the present moment. You're carrying around a corpse and wondering why you can't move forward. Think about regret for a second. Regret is when you replay past moments and wish they were different. You run the scene over and over in your mind, changing the words, changing the actions, imagining different outcomes. But no matter how many times you replay it, the past doesn't change. The only thing that changes is your present moment experience. You make yourself miserable now because of something that happened then. You sacrifice your peace in this moment for a moment that no longer exists. Or think about nostalgia. That's when you idealize the past, when you remember things as better than they were. You say those were the good old days, and you compare your current life unfavorably to some edited highlight reel of your memories. But if you were actually present back then, you probably weren't thinking about how perfect everything was. You were probably worried about something, stressed about something, wanting something different. The mind has this trick where it makes the past look better and the future look scary, or it makes the past look terrible and the future look like salvation. Either way, it's avoiding the now. And here's the real issue with living in time. When your mind is in the future or the past, you're not available for life. Life is happening right now. Opportunities are showing up right now. People are in front of you right now. Your body is sending you signals right now. But you miss all of it because you're somewhere else. You're having a conversation with someone, but you're thinking about what you need to do later. You're eating a meal, but you're reviewing what happened earlier. You're never fully here, so you never fully experience anything. This is why people say life feels empty or meaningless. It's not that life is empty, it's that you're not present for it. You're living through a filter of thoughts about past and future, and in the process, you're missing the actual living. You're like someone watching a movie on their phone, while a real sunset is happening right in front of them. The beauty is there, the magic is there, but you're not there to receive it. And when it comes to manifestation, this matters more than anything. Because manifestation is not about making something appear out of nothing. It's about aligning yourself with what already wants to come through you. It's about being present enough to notice the opportunities, to feel the intuitive nudges, to take the actions that need to be taken. But if you're lost in time, if you're anxious about the future or stuck in the past, you can't hear those signals. You can't see those openings. You're too busy with the noise in your head. So the practice becomes simple, even if it's not easy. Notice when your mind goes to the future. Notice when it goes to the past. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to force yourself to stay present. Just notice. Bring awareness to the movement of your mind. And when you notice you've drifted, gently bring yourself back. Feel your breath. Feel your body. Notice what's actually here. Not what you think should be here. Not what was here. Not what will be here. What is here, right now. This is how you reclaim your power. This is how you stop blocking your manifestations. Because when you're present, you're no longer resisting life. You're no longer fighting what is. You're available, open, receptive. And from that state, things can flow to you naturally. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to force them. You just need to be here, fully here, and let life move through you. The paradox of letting go. Now we arrive at something that might sound contradictory. To get what you want, you have to be okay with not getting it. To manifest something, you have to release your attachment to it. This sounds backwards, but it's the key that unlocks everything. Most people hear this and their mind immediately resists. They think if I let go, nothing will happen. If I stop caring, I won't take action. If I'm okay with not getting it, then I definitely won't get it. But this is not what letting go means. Doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you give up on your dreams or stop taking action. It means you do what you need to do, you move toward what you want, but you don't make your peace dependent on the outcome. You separate your inner state from external results. You realize that your well-being, your sense of self, your fundamental okayness doesn't depend on whether this thing happens or not. There's a story about a master archer. He could hit any target with perfect accuracy. One day, a student asked him, "What's your secret? How do you never miss?" The master replied, "I aim, I release, and I forget about the arrow. The moment it leaves my bow, it's no longer my concern." The student was confused. He said, "But how can you not care whether you hit the target?" The master smiled and said, "I care deeply about my form, my focus, my breathing, my technique. I care about the process. Once the arrow is released, I have no control over it. The wind might blow, the target might move. My concern won't change any of that. So I let it go. This is the secret. You do your best, you give your full effort, and then you let go. You don't obsess over whether it hit the target or not. You don't define yourself by the result. You remain at peace regardless of what happens, because you know that you did what was yours to do. The rest is not in your hands, and trying to control what's not in your hands only creates suffering. This state of being is what creates true manifestation, because when you're at peace, when you're complete within yourself, you're no longer sending out that desperate energy of lack. You're no longer pushing things away with your neediness. Instead, you become magnetic. Things are naturally drawn to you because you're no longer chasing them. Think about it in terms of relationships. When you desperately need someone to love you, when your happiness depends on finding a partner, you carry this energy of neediness, and neediness repels people. It's not attractive, it's draining. People can feel it, even if they can't name it. But when you're complete within yourself, when you're genuinely happy and at peace whether you're in a relationship or not, that's attractive. That's magnetic, because you're not looking for someone to fix you or complete you. You're looking for someone to share your fullness with. And that kind of energy draws people in. The same principle applies to everything else: money, opportunities, success, they all flow more easily to people who aren't desperate for them. Think about people you know who seem to have everything come easily to them. They're usually not the ones stressing and forcing. They're relaxed. They're confident. They trust that things will work out. And because they trust, because they're not attached, opportunities flow to them naturally. They don't second-guess themselves into paralysis. They don't contaminate their actions with anxiety about the outcome. They just do what needs to be done and trust the process. But here's where it gets tricky. You can't fake this. You can't pretend to let go while secretly holding on tight. You can't say, "I'm detached," while your whole nervous system is wound up in anxiety about the outcome. That's just another layer of attachment, another strategy to try to control things. Real letting go is not a technique, it's a recognition. It's seeing clearly that your gripping doesn't help. It's understanding that your peace is more valuable than any external outcome. Let me explain why attachment doesn't work. When you're attached, you're operating from fear. You're afraid of not getting what you want. You're afraid of failure, of disappointment, of being wrong. And fear constricts you. It makes you small. It narrows your vision. You stop seeing opportunities because you're so focused on one specific outcome. You stop being creative because you're too rigid about how things should unfold. You stop being present because you're too worried about the future. Attachment also makes you manipulative. You start trying to force outcomes, control situations, manage people. You stop being authentic because you're too busy trying to make things go a certain way. And people can feel this, life can feel this. When you're trying to force and control, you're actually working against the natural flow. You're creating resistance where there doesn't need to be any. Letting go is the opposite. It's operating from trust instead of fear. It's being open instead of contracted. It's flowing with life instead of fighting against it. And from that place, you're actually more effective, not less. Because you're not wasting energy on worry and control. You're not creating resistance with your grasping. You're just moving, acting, creating without all that extra weight. But how do you actually let go? How do you stop being attached? It starts with questioning your beliefs. Ask yourself, what do I think will happen if I don't get this thing? What am I really afraid of? Usually, you'll find that you're afraid of a feeling. You're afraid of feeling disappointed, rejected, like a failure, not enough. And then you can ask, can I handle feeling that way? If the worst happened, if I didn't get what I want, would I survive? The answer is always yes. You would survive. You've survived every disappointment up until now. You've survived every failure. You're still here. And when you really see this, when you realize that you can handle whatever happens, the attachment starts to loosen. Because attachment is based on the belief that you can't handle not getting what you want. It's based on the belief that this thing is necessary for your survival or happiness. But it's not. Nothing external is necessary for your fundamental well-being. Another practice is to focus on what you can control. You can control your effort. You can control your attitude. You can control whether you show up and do your best. But you cannot control outcomes. You cannot control other people. You cannot control circumstances. So put your energy where you have power and stop wasting it where you don't. And maybe most importantly, find your peace now. Don't wait for the outcome to give you peace. Don't make your happiness conditional on getting what you want. Find ways to be at peace right now, in this moment, regardless of your circumstances. This might sound impossible, but it's not. Peace is not something you achieve. It's something you recognize was always there, underneath all the noise and fear and grasping. When you can be at peace now, before you get what you want, something shifts. You're no longer operating from lack. You're no longer trying to use external things to fix your internal state. And from that place of peace, you can still pursue your goals, still work toward what you want, but without all the suffering, without all the attachment. And paradoxically, this is when things start to come to you more easily. Not because you're using some technique, but because you've removed the main obstacle, which was your own desperate grasping, the root of all attachment. So where does attachment come from? Why do we grip so tight? It comes from a fundamental misunderstanding about who we are. We believe that we are incomplete. We believe that we need external things to make us whole. We've been taught that happiness comes from achievements, possessions, relationships, status. From the time we're born, we're being programmed with this message. We see it in advertisements, in movies, in the way people around us live their lives. The message is always the same. You're not enough as you are. You need more, you need different, you need something outside of yourself to be complete. From childhood, we learn to seek validation outside ourselves. We learn that love is conditional. We learn that we're only worthy if we perform well, if we meet certain standards, if we have certain things. And this creates a deep wound inside us, a sense that we're not enough as we are. Think about it. As a child, you were praised when you did well and criticized when you didn't. You were given attention when you behaved a certain way and ignored when you didn't. You learned that love and approval had to be earned. They weren't just given freely. You had to do something, be something, achieve something to deserve them. This wound drives all our attachments. We chase money because we think it will make us feel secure. We chase relationships because we think they'll make us feel loved. We chase success because we think it will make us feel worthy. But none of these external things can fill the internal void. Because the void isn't real. It's a mistaken belief, a learned pattern, a story we tell ourselves. You were never actually incomplete. You just learned to think you were. But none of these external things can fill the internal void. You can have all the money in the world and still feel insecure. You can be in a relationship and still feel unloved. You can achieve massive success and still feel unworthy. Because the problem isn't that you don't have enough. The problem is that you don't recognize what you already are. You're looking for something outside to give you what you already have inside. The truth is, you're already complete. Right now, exactly as you are, you lack nothing. This isn't just positive thinking. This is a fundamental truth about your nature. You are not a separate fragment looking for completion. You are already whole, already connected to everything, already containing within you everything you could ever need. Before you achieved anything, before you had any possessions, before anyone validated you, you were complete. You were born complete. You didn't come into this world broken and needing to be fixed. You came in whole, and then you learned to believe otherwise. But the mind doesn't want to accept this. The mind survives on problems. It survives on the story that something is wrong, that something needs to be fixed, that you need to become something other than what you are. And so it keeps creating desires, keeps creating attachments, keeps you in a perpetual state of seeking. Because if you realized you were already complete, the mind would lose its job. It would have nothing to do. So it keeps you busy with projects, with goals, with things to chase and problems to solve. This is why you can achieve a goal and feel good for a moment. But then the mind immediately creates a new problem. You get the promotion you wanted, and for a day or two, you feel satisfied. Then the mind says, but now you need the next promotion. And you need to prove yourself at this level. And what if you can't maintain this success? It never ends. The finish line keeps moving because the mind needs it to keep moving. If you ever actually arrived, if you ever actually felt complete, the mind would have nothing to do. Understanding this is crucial, because once you see how the mind works, once you see that it's just creating stories of lack to keep itself busy, you stop believing those stories so completely. You start to see them as just thoughts, patterns, not absolute truths about who you are. And when you stop believing in your incompleteness, attachment starts to fall away naturally. You don't need to force it. You don't need to work at letting go. You just see clearly, and the seeing itself dissolves the attachment. Think about what your life would be like if you truly knew you were already complete. If you truly knew that you lacked nothing, that you were already whole, already enough, already worthy, how would you show up differently? You probably wouldn't be so desperate in your relationships. You wouldn't need people to validate you or complete you. You could just enjoy them, appreciate them, share yourself with them without all the neediness and fear. You probably wouldn't be so stressed about money. You'd still work, still be responsible, but you wouldn't be driven by a feeling of lack or a need to prove your worth through your bank account. You probably wouldn't be so caught up in comparing yourself to others. You wouldn't need to be better than anyone or have more than anyone. You could celebrate other people's success without feeling threatened by it. You could be genuinely happy for others because their success wouldn't take anything away from your completeness. You probably wouldn't be so afraid of failure. You could try things, take risks, experiment, because your worth wouldn't be on the line. You could fail, and it wouldn't mean anything about who you are fundamentally. This is what's possible when you see through the illusion of lack. And it's not some far-off spiritual state that only masters achieve. It's available right now. You just have to stop believing the story that you're incomplete. You have to stop looking for external things to fix an internal problem that doesn't actually exist. You have to recognize what was always true. You are already whole. You were never broken. You don't need to become anything. You just need to stop pretending to be less than you are. And when you live from this recognition, when you operate from a place of wholeness instead of lack, everything changes. Not because external things suddenly appear, but because you stop creating the internal blocks that were keeping things away. You stop pushing life away with your neediness. You stop creating resistance with your grasping. You just open up and life flows naturally. Things come to you not because you're trying to attract them, but because you're no longer repelling them. You're no longer in your own way. Is the deepest level of letting go. It's not just letting go of specific attachments. It's letting go of the fundamental belief that drove all those attachments in the first place. The belief that you're incomplete. The belief that you need something outside yourself to be whole. When that belief dissolves, when you see clearly that you are always complete, attachment loses its foundation. It has nothing left to stand on. And from that place of natural wholeness, you live differently. You act differently. You manifest differently. not through effort or technique, but through simply being what you already are, breaking free from the pattern. So how do you break free from this pattern? How do you stop blocking your own manifestations? It starts with awareness. You have to catch yourself in the act of attachment. You have to notice when you're gripping tight, when you're living in future anxiety, when you're making your peace conditional. This is the first step, and it's more important than any technique or method you could learn. Because without awareness, you're just running on autopilot, repeating the same patterns over and over without even knowing you're doing it. Start paying attention to your thoughts throughout the day. Notice how often your mind jumps to what you want. The quality of that wanting. Is it light and playful, or is it heavy and desperate? Is it coming from inspiration or from fear? Is it from fullness or from lack? These are important distinctions because not all desire is the same. Some desire is healthy. It's the natural movement of life, expressing itself through you. It's creative, joyful, expansive. But other desire is toxic. It comes from a feeling that something is wrong, that you're not enough, that you need this thing to be okay. You can feel the difference in your body. Healthy desire feels light, exciting, energizing. Toxic desire feels heavy, anxious, draining. Healthy desire says, wouldn't it be amazing if this happened? Toxic desire says, I need this to happen or I'll be miserable. One is open and curious, the other is closed and desperate. So start noticing which kind of desire you're experiencing throughout your day. Don't judge it, just notice it. Become curious about it. When you catch yourself in attachment, don't judge it. Don't try to force yourself to let go. That's just creating another layer of resistance. Instead, simply observe it. Bring awareness to the feeling of gripping, the sensation of wanting, the energy of lack. Just watch it without trying to change it. This is harder than it sounds because the mind wants to fix everything. The moment you notice attachment, the mind will say, oh no, I shouldn't be attached. I need to let go. I need to be more spiritual, more enlightened, more free. But that's just more attachment. That's just the mind trying to control your experience. So instead of trying to fix it, just be with it. Feel where the attachment lives in your body. Maybe it's a tightness in your chest. Maybe it's a knot in your stomach. Maybe it's tension in your shoulders. Just feel it. Don't try to make it go away. Don't try to understand it or analyze it. Just bring your awareness to the physical sensation of it. Breathe into it. Make space for it. Let it be there without resistance. As you watch, something interesting happens. The attachment begins to loosen on its own. Awareness itself is the dissolving agent. You shine light on these patterns. They start to lose their power over you. You begin to see them as just movements of the mind, not absolute truths about reality. You start to see that the thought, I need this thing to be happy, is just a thought. It's not a fact. It's a story your mind is telling. And when you see it as a story, you stop being so controlled by it. This process takes time. You won't do it once and suddenly be free of all attachment. It's more like training a muscle. The more you practice observing your attachments without judgment, the easier it becomes. The more you bring awareness to your patterns, the less power they have over you. It's gradual, but it's real. And every moment of awareness is a moment of freedom, even if it doesn't feel dramatic or transformative in the moment. Next, practice bringing yourself back to the present moment. Whenever you notice you've drifted into future thinking or past thinking, Gently guide your awareness back to now. Feel your breath, feel your body. Notice what's actually here in this moment, not what you imagine should be here. This is another practice that sounds simple but requires real commitment. Because your mind is constantly pulling you away from the present. It's constantly creating stories, scenarios, problems, plans. And you have to keep coming back, again and again and again. Use your breath as an anchor. Your breath is always happening now. It can't happen in the past or the future. So when you feel your mind spinning out, when you notice anxiety about the future or regret about the past, bring your attention to your breath. Don't try to breathe in any special way. Just notice the natural rhythm of your breathing. Feel the air moving in and out. Feel your chest rising and falling. This simple act brings you back to the present moment. You can also use your body as an anchor. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. Feel the temperature of the air on your skin. These are all sensations happening right now. When you connect with these sensations, you're connecting with the present moment. You're pulling yourself out of the mental world of thoughts and into the actual world of direct experience. And here's a powerful practice. Every day, spend time appreciating what you already have, not as a manipulation to get more, but as a genuine recognition of the abundance that's already present. You have air to breathe. You have a body that functions. You have consciousness. You have this moment. This is not nothing. This is everything. Most people take these things completely for granted. They think, of course I can breathe, of course I'm alive. That's not special. But it is special. It's miraculous. The fact that you exist, that you're conscious, that you can experience anything at all, this is an incredible gift. Start small with this practice. Every morning when you wake up, before you check your phone or start thinking about your day, spend just a few minutes appreciating what you have. Look around your room. You have shelter. You have a bed. You have safety. These are not small things. Billions of people throughout history didn't have these basic things. Do feel grateful for that, not because it will attract more stuff, but because it's actually true. You are blessed in ways you've stopped noticing. Throughout your day, practice this awareness. When you eat, really taste your food. Appreciate that you have food to eat. When you see a friend, appreciate their presence. When you feel the sun on your face, stop and enjoy it. When you hear music you love, really listen. These moments are everywhere, but you miss them because you're too busy thinking about what you don't have, about what needs to change, about what you want in the future. When you truly feel grateful for what is, you shift out of the frequency of lack. You realize you're not starting from zero, you're starting from fullness. And from that place, creation happens naturally. Because you're no longer trying to fill a void, you're no longer operating from desperation, you're creating from overflow. You're expressing what's already there, not trying to get what's missing. This is also where you start to notice something interesting. The things you want might still come, but you're no longer desperate for them. Okay whether they come or not. And this okayness is what allows them to come more easily. Because you've removed the resistance, the grasping, the desperate energy that was pushing them away. You've created space for things to flow naturally. But remember, this is not a technique to manipulate outcomes. This is not fake it till you make it or pretend to be grateful so the universe gives you more. That's just another form of attachment, another strategy of the mind. This is about genuinely seeing what's already here. It's about recognizing that you're already living in abundance. You've just been trained to focus on lack. When you shift your focus, when you start seeing the abundance that's already present, everything changes. Not because external circumstances necessarily change, but because you change. You stop being a victim of circumstances. You stop waiting for life to give you permission to be happy. You claim your happiness now, in this moment, regardless of what you have or don't have. And from that place of inner fullness, you become unstoppable, not in an aggressive, forcing way, but in a natural, flowing way. You move through life with confidence and ease because you're no longer fighting yourself. You're no longer at war with reality. You're aligned with what is, and from that alignment you can create anything, living from wholeness. Here's what changes when you release attachment. You stop living from neediness and start living from overflow. You stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? You stop trying to fill a void and start expressing your fullness. This shift is subtle but profound. It changes everything about how you interact with the world, how you show up in relationships, how you approach your work, how you experience each moment. This is when real manifestation happens. Not the desperate kind where you're trying to fix yourself or prove something, but the natural kind where you're simply expressing who you are, and the right things show up to match that expression. When you live from wholeness, you're not trying to become something. You're just being what you already are. And that authenticity, that genuine expression, is what attracts everything you need. Think about the most magnetic people you know. The ones who seem to effortlessly attract opportunities, relationships, success. What is it about them? It's not that they're perfect. It's not that they have everything figured out. It's that they're comfortable in their own skin. They're not trying to be someone else. They're not performing or pretending. They're just genuinely themselves, and that authenticity is attractive. People want to be around them. Opportunities come to them. Things flow easily because they're not creating resistance with their neediness or their pretending. When you're no longer attached to outcomes, you become free to take bold action. Because you're not paralyzed by fear of failure. You're not protecting some fragile sense of self. You can try things, experiment, play, create, without needing it to go a certain way. This freedom is incredibly powerful. Most people don't take action on their dreams because they're afraid of failing. They're afraid of what failure will mean about them. They've made their worth conditional on success, so failure becomes a threat to their entire identity. But when you know you're already whole, when you know your worth isn't dependent on outcomes, failure loses its power over you. You can fail and it doesn't mean anything about who you are fundamentally. It's just information, it's just feedback, it's just part of the process. So you can take risks that others won't take. You can try things that others are too afraid to try. Not because you're reckless, but because you're free. You're not risking your identity, you're just exploring possibilities. And paradoxically, this is when you become most effective. Because you're no longer in your own way. You're not second-guessing yourself. You're not contaminating your actions with doubt and fear. You're just moving, creating, expressing, and trusting the process. When you act from this place, your actions are clean. They're not mixed with anxiety or desperation. They're not driven by need. They're inspired. They flow naturally. And things that are done from this place of flow tend to work out much better than things that are forced from a place of fear. Think about times when you've been in flow. Maybe you were working on a project and hours passed without you noticing. Maybe you were having a conversation and the words just came effortlessly. Maybe you were creating something and it all just clicked into place. That's what happens when you're not in your own way. When you're not overthinking, not doubting, not trying to control every detail. You just let it flow through you. This is what becomes possible when you live from wholeness. You're in flow more often, not because you're trying to be, but because you've removed the obstacles. The main obstacle has always been your sense of lack, your feeling of incompleteness, your attachment to outcomes. When those dissolve, flow becomes your natural state. People will notice the change in you. Your energy will be different. You'll seem more relaxed, more confident, more alive. And this energy is magnetic. Opportunities, people, resources, they naturally move towards someone who carries this quality. Not because you're trying to attract them, but because you're no longer repelling them. You're no longer giving off that desperate, needy energy that pushes things away. You're open, you're confident, you're at peace, and that draws things to you naturally. You'll notice that conversations go differently. People open up to you more because they feel safe around you. They sense that you're not trying to get something from them, that you're not using them to fill some void in yourself. You're just present with them, genuinely interested, genuinely connected. And that kind of presence is rare. Most people are so caught up in their own needs and wants that they're not really present with others. But when you are, people feel it and they respond to it. You'll notice that opportunities come more easily. Not because you're luckier, but because you're more aware. When you're not lost in anxiety about the future or regret about the past, you notice things. You see openings. You hear the subtle signals. You feel the intuitive nudges, and you act on them without all the hesitation and doubt that used to hold you back. You'll notice that work becomes more enjoyable. Not because the tasks change, but because you're no longer doing them from a place of desperation. You're no longer thinking, I have to do this perfectly or I'm worthless. You're just doing what needs to be done, giving it your best, and letting go of the results. Paradoxically, this makes you better at what you do, because you're not tense, not stressed, not contaminating your work with fear and doubt. You'll notice that your relationships improve, not because other people change, but because you show up differently. You're no longer needing them to complete you or validate you. You're no longer looking for them to fill the void inside you. You're coming from fullness, so you have something to give. You can love without grasping. You can connect without needing. You can be present without agenda. And that transforms the quality of your relationships. But remember, you're not doing this to get something. That would just be another form of attachment. You're doing this because it's the truth of who you are. You're doing this because living from wholeness is the only way to really live. If you try to practice these things as a technique to attract more stuff, you'll miss the whole point. You'll just be creating another layer of seeking, another strategy of the mind. The practice is to genuinely see that you're already whole, to genuinely recognize that you lack nothing, to genuinely live from that recognition, not as a means to an end, but as an end in itself. When you do this, when you really embody this truth, everything else takes care of itself. Not because you're using some law of attraction, but because you've aligned yourself with reality. You've stopped fighting what is. You've stopped trying to be something other than what you are. And from that alignment, life flows. Things come, things go, circumstances change, but you remain at peace through it all, because your peace doesn't depend on circumstances. You're rooted in something deeper, something that can't be taken away. You're rooted in your own wholeness, your own completeness, your own fundamental okayness. And from that rootedness, you can weather any storm, celebrate any success, and live fully in each moment. Is what's possible when you let go of attachment. This is what opens up when you stop blocking your own manifestations. Not some magical life where everything goes perfectly, but a real life where you're fully present, fully alive, fully yourself. And that, more than any external achievement, is what you've been looking for all along. So let's come back to where we started. What's the one thing blocking all your manifestations? It's attachment. It's the desperate grasping, the future anxiety, the belief that you need something external to be complete. This is what creates resistance. This is what stops the flow. And the solution isn't to try harder. It's not to do more techniques or learn more methods. The solution is to see through the illusion of lack, to recognize that you're already whole, to trust that life is working through you, not against you. When you let go of attachment, you don't lose your dreams. You don't stop creating or striving or growing. You just stop suffering. You stop making your peace dependent on circumstances. You start living from a place of freedom, and from that freedom, everything you need naturally comes. This is not a quick fix. This is a fundamental shift in how you relate to life. It takes practice. It takes patience. It takes willingness to see your patterns and let them go. But every step you take toward releasing attachment is a step toward real power, real peace, real manifestation. The question is not whether you can manifest what you want. The question is whether you're willing to get out of your own way. Are you willing to stop gripping so tight? Are you willing to trust the process? Are you willing to be at peace even before you get what you want? Because when you can answer yes to these questions, everything shifts. The blocks dissolve, the resistance fades, and what needs to come to you finds its way naturally, effortlessly, perfectly. You don't need to chase anymore. You don't need to force anymore. You just need to be. Be present, be whole, be open, and watch as life unfolds in ways more beautiful than you could have planned. If this landed for you, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.